A few tips for surviving depression. First of all, depression is not just some bad mood that we can snap ourselves out of. We don't get into depression in a hurry, and we usually don't get out of it in a hurry. Depression normally comes whenever some major fear comes into our life, or trauma or loss or something else. We become totally consumed with it. We give it 100% of our undivided attention, not just for days or weeks, but for weeks and months on end. When we do, at some point, something changes up here. Now we're no longer just afraid of whatever it was we were afraid of that we couldn't solve. Now we're having a hard time eating, or we're eating all the time. We're having a hard time sleeping, or we're sleeping all the time. We're not wanting to be around any of our friends. The things that we used to enjoy, we can't enjoy anymore. Because we can't snap ourselves out of this, I think the first and the most important thing we can do is to find a way to survive until we can get out. And all I mean by that is this: find things that give you some sense of relief. Even if they don't give you joy and peace, they give you some sense of relief. For me, it was little bitty simple things like going to town in my vehicle with my family to get something to drink when I already had a drink in the refrigerator. Something about that ride gave me some sense of peace or relief. Sometimes it was starting a fire and feeling the heat from that fire, or sitting by water, exercise, and help me. So find whatever it is in your life that gives you some sense of relief. That's to get you by until you can get out. But here's how you get out. You get out the same way you got in. You give your undivided attention, not to the fear, but to love and to truth. For me, this was the books of Philippians and the book of James. I read these things relentlessly, and then I wrote down scriptures that spoke specifically to the fears that I had. And every time the fear came into my mind, every time I became consumed with, I'll never be the same again, what's wrong with me, all of these things, I would say to myself, I cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. And I bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Now, I quote scriptures from like Philippians 4:8, where it says, if anything's good, pure, true, of a good report, lovely, admirable, think on these things and you'll find the peace of God. So you have to relentlessly fight for the space up here. Speak the truth to yourself. And if you do that relentlessly for long enough, believe it or not, the cloud's going to break open. And I'm going to tell you, the worst thing I ever went through was depression. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it will be for you too. So I'm praying for you. Keep fighting. You'll find your way out. I'm praying for you. Trust God's word no matter what. Keep your eyes on the horizon.